TV on your favorite show, the Showbiz in Focus. Tonight, we have our Honorable Director, Mr. Sheikh Omar Jallow of the National Center for Arts and Culture. He's the Director of Performing Fine Arts and Literature of the National Center for Arts and Culture. So tonight, we will be having him on this interview. We were expecting Sol Saw of Soul Sound because of his busy schedules. We cannot get him tonight. So, Mr. Jallow, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kalilu. I'm happy to be here. Today I'm your big fish.
Yes, I was telling the public that the director told me to tell them that we have the big fish tonight. What do you want to tell to the public? What do you want to say?
Well, I would like to say to the public that I'm very much delighted to be here, especially to clear some of the doubts and rumors that are actually ongoing. And it's important actually to communicate.
Exactly.
We've not been communicating because we felt that walking is better than talking.
Exactly. Walking is better than talking. Okay, that is the policy of the National Center for Arts and Culture.
That's our new paradigm.
So that is the new shift. I like that. But I just want us to start the program by getting into the Gambia Film Producers Association because they have an important program that is coming up on Sunday, the Semben Across Africa Film Screening, and it's going to be in the Gambia. What can you say about that?
Yeah, actually, this has been an international commemoration actually within Africa. All African countries celebrate the father of African cinema as Semben Usman, who is Usman Semben from Senegal.
Okay.
And then his works are actually displayed, and people go back to his work so as to be able to remember some of the great things that he have done. So this year, basically what we have done is actually, instead of the NCAC celebrating it, we pushed it to the filmmakers to do this screening. In fact, because it's a virtual, so we wanted to take it out to the Sunday beach at the beachside, where we will have more people to watch it, and people can follow it up and see some of the great works of Semben. So the two films that we have chosen is a documentary on the father of African cinema, that is Semben. And the second film we have also targeted is a satire of a post-independence African politician's quest for power, which is Khala. Because after the African independence, some of the new post-African leaders who came to power, there has been a lot of errors or mysteries that they have been doing, putting state together with culture, which has really made a lot of mixed feelings or mixed political agenda as far as the realm of power was concerned. So this is about politics and culture. The conflict of politics and culture. So that was highlight, and we choose that one because it's highly a great topic at this time when we really need to reflect: is culture politics, or politics is it culture?
Okay, so if I can understand, is depicting the cultural heritage of Africa as a continent, at the same time propagating some of the values that Mr. Senden has been promoting before he passed away. And this is culminated into several documentaries and films for the young generation to be able to recognize some of the good works that he has been doing.
Yeah, more or less, it's primarily around with that, because this is actually a cultural man who actually lives in the syndromes of culture and religion, and of course, who we all live, because we all know what how beggars are important to our society. It's religious, but it's also cultural.
Okay.
How do we interplay some of this sacrifice or some of these things that we do, and how do we interplay it into a new society that we found ourselves, which is politics. Politics is coming to play, and earning power, running power, having the power to be able to rule ourselves is coming up. How do we mix this? I think that was the mixture that he has actually put in place in here, so as for people to portray. But the rest, I'll put it as a doubt. People can follow it up. So you don't need to come down to the beach at all times. I have also shared the Zoom link, and those who want also the link, which, because unfortunately, most of Semben's work are not found in Africa again.
Okay.
You see how serious this. Most of Semben's work are actually found only in France, and they are all being copyrighted, and they are owned by the French people.
The French government.
Owned by the French people.
Okay. So when is the date? When is the days of the show? On the 25th of October. Where are you? Where is the venue?
Yeah, this is on Sunday, the 25th of October, at the what you call the sand beach, behind at the beach side, just next to Palmarima, behind Palmarima Beach. It's right by the Palmarima Beach.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it starts at 7 p.m.
Okay,
so we have mixed it together with the Sunday beach, in which you have a lot of automatic young people gathering at the beachside doing nothing and the like. So we said, why don't we interpose this with something that the people can do and watch, and at least we can capitalize to educate them.
Okay. So now we go directly into the interview, the purpose of the interview. Over the few weeks, we were having a lot of stakeholders who are involved in the Gambia arts and culture industry, including the Director General, Mr. Hassan Sise. We have all of them in this platform. And before we go proper into the program, I just want to introduce Pa Usman Juf. Pa Usman Juf, are you online with us?
$10.
Pa Usman. Okay. It seems like Pa Usman is not yet in, but I just want us to go directly into the program. What is the state of the arts associations currently in the Gambia, the ones that are registered with you? The Music Union, the Film Producers Association, the Theater Association, and the Writers Association, and all the rest of the associations, because we are aware that there was a dissolution process and a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of misinterpretation and a lot of talking around those associations. What can you tell us as the director responsible for that department?
All right, thank you very much. I think I would have loved, before we start with that aspect, we would have talked about the GIPO, which is the new reformed copyright merging with IP. That would have given us a good base. Then we move to the association. You will see the link from that. But yet still, if you want to start with the associations directly, I don't have a problem. I can go ahead straight on that.
Yeah, I think they are interrelated. It doesn't really matter whether we started with the IP right or we started with the associations, but I know the associations are very important in the formation and also in the formation of the collecting society, which was before. But now I don't know the interpretation. So you are the expert. So we want to hear from you. So what is the current status of the IP right? Because we already knew that last week there was a workshop. So I don't know whether it was a validation workshop or it was just a mere workshop to familiarize.
Workshop.
Okay, yeah. So you can tell us about that.
So you want me to start with the IP or I go straight to the associations?
So let's go to the associations first. What is the status of the associations?
All right. The associations, the national associations that are actually enshrined in the Copyright Act, not in the NCAC Act, but in the Copyright Act, That is what has given this association a statutory to be able to operate or to exist. And unfortunately, it's almost like 9 associations, and it's only 3 associations that are functional. All the 6 are moribund. They are dead in the sense that they are not existing and they are not fulfilling the mandate that they have been given by their stakeholders. It's so disappointing that this is not even the first time, but this has always been the case.
The problem.
The idea of association started with music union or others that have started coming on board. This is the 3rd time, Kalilu. The 3rd time we are asking or even reminding executive bodies to go to Congress.
To go to Congress.
Or even to hold an AGM. It's not right.
Yeah.
The people that they have always been having as executives have always been violating, starting from your own association, which you were heading with Ibrahim Sise. You remember when I was taking you guys to Congress, the time was overdue. We had to fight for you guys to accept to go to Congress. The second group also came. And we were hoping that things would have been better. And Kalilu, we ended up in police with that executive because they don't still want to go to police. They don't want to go to Congress. They refuse.
Which association is that? Which association?
The same music union, the Oliver Boyd group, the Oliver Boyd executive. Because it ended up very awkwardly and it was very disappointing. Because there are so many stories that happened with that. But this 3rd association again, so disappointing again. After existing and yet still, we are asking them, can we go to Congress? They are boycotting, saying that they are not ready to go to Congress yet.
Okay. So Mr. Director, I just want to say this: the associations are independent arts institutions. Do you have any mandate to be able to dissolve them?
The copyright, of course, Kalilu, the National Center for Arts and Culture Act actually empowers my office to monitor, to facilitate, and supervise the activities of the artistic associations of the Gambia.
Okay, that is clear.
And in that regard, hold on. In that regard, apart from that, Copyright Act also gives the office and mandate to assist, despite their autonomous bodies. Hey, kula abali bot fukonnehenga hole. We found you, because why didn't they take it upon themselves to be able to organize themselves to go ahead and hold on to their constitutions and then make sure that they are able to have associations? But what happens? It's very difficult for you guys to organize yourself, to go to even sit down and organize, except I commend the Gambia Music Union on an initial stage when they first came together. When I was not even at the NCAC, I was part of you, myself, you, Ibrahim Sise, and all that. We were at Alliance. That was an initiative which was laudable. That was not initiated by the NCAC. You remember that very well.
Exactly, but the problem here also is...
let me finish. That was not initiated by the NCAC.
Okay.
But apart from that association, and what? All the other associations, all the other existing associations that followed were all formed in 2012 in congresses, in series of congresses that was being organized and campaigned and mobilized by the NCAC. And now how can you come to say that the NCAC don't have a mandate to look at your affairs when things are still not working and the stakeholders, the copyright stakeholders are still sitting at bay? You are pointing hands on NCAC or pointing hands at one another, accusing, when you know that it is an independent body that should have been working on their own.
Exactly. Mr. Director, yeah, I understand that part. But can you tell us that the mandate that you have to be able to oversee and supervise and to be able to monitor what the associations are doing? the same Copyright Act which indicated the associations is the same copyright that allows the center and the government of the Gambia to give them subventions, and which the Director General agreed. And the associations have never received any subvention from the government of the Gambia.
Kalilu, can you give me a quotation of that? In what clause is it? Because I have been hearing you talking about this, but I so feel bad whenever I hear you talking about this. I say, oh no, Kalilu. Kalilu, can you give me a reference in the Copyright Act, which page or which clause that I'm sitting right here facing the act in my soft copy, and
no,
I would like you to give me a reference to it.
I have a record of the director. The director.
No. Look, hold on. I am not saying what my director said. My director can even be erroneous. I can understand that. He's human being. I am just asking you, who is establishing that now as a journalist. Can you just refer it back to me at the in which section of the Copyright Act can you find it? I will send it back to you if you don't have the Copyright Act with you right there. Or if you have it, which I have done, because I won't send the Copyright Act to you. Can you give that reference to me back, please?
Okay. Now we this is an interactive discussion. I want us to make it so interactive, and I am very happy that it is going that way. I can tell you the section of the Copyright Act which talked about the arts associations, and which also talk about the establishment of the Collecting Society of the Gambia. The Director General, and on my own interpretation, is that when a government put those laws, they should be able to support those establishments. That is my interpretation.
Okay. Carl, I have no problem with interpretation because it's your personal opinion.
Okay.
I am talking professionally at an administrative guidelines.
Okay.
The administrative guideline I have is, I do not see anywhere in the Copyright Act or even in the NCAC Act that it should be a mandatory for subvention. As of now, the new act we are designing now, we are talking about it because we see the necessity. In fact, you know what was happening? I was surpassing and doing something, I would say something illegal, because it was not within my mandate to have done that. To have taken money and make sure that I take associations to Congress. It was not my mandate.
That's why I said they are independent, so there is some form of interference.
No, Carl, listen, I said what I have done in that is taking the money, but watching them and telling them that you need to go to Congress was very legal. But what was wrong? You know what was wrong? The wrong thing was financing it, taking out the money and giving it to you to go to Congress, because it's an interest group. So an interest group is financed by its private individuals and partners. It's not that the institution that you put up your interest against. How if I am giving you money, wherever will you come to me to tell me the truth?
Okay, now I just give you one example before I come to Pa. Maybe Pa have something to say, but before I come to Pa, I just want to give you one example. The National Center for Arts and Culture has established the endowment fund, and then justify in Parliament that the endowment fund will be used to technically and financially support Gambian artists. So if you use money through the National Center for Arts and Culture to support the arts associations, that shouldn't be illegal, because the endowment fund is there. Can you tell us something about the endowment fund?
Carl, I always feel disappointed whenever you are talking about this. You are not within the rubrics of understanding anything, because you know what's the point? There is nothing that has been talked about since the time of Fatuma's job. It was an intention, a wish list. As we are talking, since when I came to NCAC, it has been in planning. Up till today, there is nothing called an endowment fund. It is in the pipeline, but it has never been executed. You know what an endowment fund is? An endowment fund, according to the rules, what I have read in between, because I wasn't here when it was even started or when it was even talked about. But to my revision, it's actually to become like a social security savings for artists and retired or veterans. So that like the social security is, that endowment fund could help when artists are in trouble, when they are sick, when there are so many things happen, like the examples of when Jaya Jame was taking responsibility to even cure the people like Musangom or by something, those were things that actually emanated. They said they have to construct what is called the endowment fund. There is nothing called endowment fund as we are talking right now. So whenever you explain that, I would say, "Oh, Kalilu, okay."
Yeah, no, but
You are not within the right.
Mr. Director, it was table. It was table in Parliament. I was not a kid. By then, I was working. I was working with the music union. It was table in Parliament, and Sidia Jata, Honorable Sidia Jata, raised his hand and he said, "This is long overdue. The Gambian artists need some support of this nature." So, is it about implementation lapses, or it was dumped in the dustbin?
Carl, maybe I was young. Maybe I was a baby when that was happening. Maybe you could have witnessed it. But I do not see, as far as references are concerned, documents. I have never seen any document. I have seen the wish list.
Yeah, but your director was on tape and he agreed. There is an endowment fund. Your director said it.
Well, my director need to establish that. But as far as I am concerned, I have never seen anything called an endowment fund, because I know the instrument that are to guide the endowment fund, and I have read those very well. But as far as we are concerned, and in fact, you know how the endowment fund was supposed to be. It was supposed to be one, as the strategy was concerned, which I have read. The strategy was the Ministry of Tourism and Culture was supposed to put in some part of the money, which I know never happened. And the artistic associations were supposed to contribute annually, which has never happened. And the partners, the people who use social corporate responsibilities, were supposed to put in money. And this was basically that I had learned as far as the endowment fund is concerned. And none of this has ever existed.
So we want to thank you now. We want to thank you. We want to thank you now. We want to thank you now. Consider the new IP Act. If you can elaborate that before we come to power, because you said that you are trying now to put it in the new IP Act. Can you tell us why the necessity? Now we want to thank you.
Is that side clear? Because I want this thing to rest now, so that opinions have to understand now that way those were never true. There is no. Can we talk one after the other?
Okay.
So that we can hear each other now. Yeah. What I am saying is, this has been going on. I have never given anybody a chance to clear myself or to clear this thing, because it has been pattering a lot of time, mostly in your forums or things around with you. And I just want to clear that very well, because people have been also accusing you that you are part of NCAC and you've been benefiting whatever. I want to clear that. Carl is never a staff of NCAC. He has been a very good partner of NCAC. I have worked with him privately, and I have worked with him as part of the association. And I really admire the stamina and the wonderful work that you have done as far as your terms were concerned. You did grateful. But there are points that you have really misled or actually confused, because that is about this endowment fund. This endowment fund never existed. Billahi, wallahi, tallahi, nallahi. I can swear to Allah that this endowment fund is a false thing. It's never true, because it was a wish list. It was supposed to be done during the time of Fatuma's job. Fatuma's job fought for it, and eventually Fatuma's job was hoisted out. When Benjamin came in, Benjamin Roberts never talked about it. And
yeah, it seems like yeah, the director, your connection, your network.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yeah, director, that is very clear. We are not saying we are we are not accusing. It was indicated, And then, as you are telling us now, it means that the both ministers, it was never applied, it was never implemented. We can say it was not implemented. We agree with you.
It wasn't even passed as a bill.
What do you say to that?
They passed, but it was never passed to us. We never received any document concerning the approval for an endowment fund. What I have, which I can share with you if you want, or if I can share my laptop, is the bill to talk about it, which is a wish list.
No, we will talk about all that. We will talk about all that, Mr. Director. It's just the beginning of the interview. We will talk about that. Like you said, you want to clear me, like a lot of people, what they are saying, that I was working with NCAC, and that is very clear. You said that, and thank you for that. And then I also want you to clear yourself with some of the information that is reaching us. Don't say it is from Kalilu. Kalilu is just the one who is transferring these messages, which is coming from the stakeholders in the arts and culture sector. But I'm not the one responsible for those information. I'm asking and probing into the informations that the people want to hear. Pa, what do you want to say? Welcome to the program, Mr. Ju.
Thank you, Kalilu.
Sorry, are you streaming this online? And what's the link, please? People are texting me; they are following the link.
Yeah, it's online now.
I sent it to you, Kalilu. I sent you the link on your Facebook. If you look at your messenger, you can just forward it to Mr. Sheikh Omar.
Yes. Please.
Yeah, I'm copying it now. And so, Pa, what do you say? What do you say to the director?
I greet him, and I admire and adore his stamina. It reminds me of when he just returned from the US in 2002 or 3, when he just formed the Kanyalang, and I happen to be the founder and president of Youth in Development and Change. Sheikh Omar organized the first Kanyalang theater workshop or drama competition, and Yidak happened to be a winner. Shortly after that is when I came to the United States. He may not remember, but I remember fully. I have heard what he said when it comes to the copyright. When this was being cooked, I was in Gambia, and we were all very excited as young artists. Himself, Sheikh Omar, had just returned from the US at the time to establish his Kanyalang workshop. He had so many great ideas. In fact, I learned a lot about US history and stuff based on a play that he put together at that particular event that DJ Little Cisco and so many aspiring actors who are doing wonderful today acted in. So Sheikh Omar had the opportunity to be the director of performing arts at the NCAC. We are talking about more than 15 years now. A lot of the things that were being talked about at the time, that were tabled, that were the aspirations of artists at the time, are still not into fruition. I would like to ask Sheikh Omar, what is going wrong? This was the dream. This was the vision. This was what Gambian artists wanted, whether it is those in the acting industry or those in the music industry or any type of art. To say that until this minute, that the unions or the arts associations are still not functioning the way they should function. When the NCAC is there, as he rightly put it, why? In my view, because if the NCAC is the one that is supporting these associations, you've made it clear whether the money is there or not. There is a lot that they might be able to do as NCAC to support these unions through their partners. Sometimes these monies don't even have to come directly from the government. And I've said this in one of your previous shows. The money doesn't even have to come directly from the government. If they really are interested to support this association, sometimes it could be just facilitating the process, or even as little as writing a cover letter. This is not rocket science. It's not written anywhere. I will give a typical example. Gambian Talents Promotion is here, registered as a charity arts association here in the United States of America. We are receiving funding from the county and other organizations or stakeholders here. Sometimes what they need to do, the county never given us a single dime. The government through any of the associations never give us a single dime. What they do is write simple cover letters Just this week, last Monday, I received a call about a $10,000 grant that I have applied for, and of course, it is through the Washington Arts. Washington Arts. You can go ahead and Google it or look it up. And most of these things, all they need to do is just write a cover letter to recommend the institutions and what they think can be done, and facilitate that process between them and the government partners, and they'll be able to support them. If the NCAC wants to support this institutions financially, yes, they should be able to do it. If the government want to do it, they should be able to do it. They need to understand first that arts and culture is a very important part of the GDP of the country, and they need to also understand. Just look at it in Parliament when they even talk about these things. You wonder how much, and this is not NCAC alone, but the entire government, how much they understand the importance of arts, the importance of culture, and the contribution that it can make to the national cake when it comes to the monies that come to the country. We're talking about tourism. Tourism cannot happen without culture. There is no doubt without this. The reality is, I'm not saying they're not making efforts, but they could do a lot more in investing into it. I live here with Senegalese. They have all kinds of things happening here when it comes to promoting and preserving Senegalese culture here. Several other countries, deguñ angale. Lakuñ angale is not their primary language. Gambia has a rich culture, but at the end of the day, we don't package it the way that we are supposed to package it, and this has to do mostly with our government. So, you know, she's talking about these things, whether at Parliament, whether at cabinet level or any other place, the type of support they need to give. Artists, you get joy every single time. Gambian Talents was formed. We are not also rookies in this business. Since 2006, we have been contacted. We have been in touch with different Gambian artists. We have facilitated trips to them for them to come to the United States. We have facilitated trips for them to go to Europe or other places. There is this is no lie. We have worked with several Gambian artists. In the Gambia, we have organized events and we have done several things. We try to partner with the NCAC, or sometimes artists themselves come back to us after they try so many things with the NCAC from what is being said. And this is an opportunity. Say Omar is here where he can clear some of these things.
I'm gonna go you
now. Okay.
I'm going to so the was director. Sir, what did you pick from his statement?
Thank you very much, Pa Usman Diouf. I feel a little bit shocked that now I know the Pa Usman behind the GTTV. He's right. I did not remember him or associate him to Yidak, but now I remember, and he has given a very good.
I am the founder of Yidak with my colleagues.
I remember very well now, because I think that gives me the just the point to elaborate now. His first point was, actually, I have not been in the SCAC for 12 years. I have just been there for only 8 years, and my intention is only, I'm looking at, maybe towards 10 years or something like that. Actually, I found the NCAC not even any of the copyright matter being handled. Kalilu, you might have been my witness. I think in 2012, when I came in, in March, April, May, in June, I put up the revolution to set up all the artistic associations, because I had that vigor and I was an outsider and I had a lot of fight with the NCAC. That was why even the KTW did not work. I had to run back to the state because of issues between me and the NCAC, especially the then Director General. When I came back, I was headhunted, and I came over to kind of, with that vigor, that I wanted to, let's make a change in the NCAC. That modem, the platform was given to me, and I was very much supported by the then Director General, who actually believed in me and was behind me. And I went after all the associations, all the institutions behind them. And we had to pull the congresses. It was very tough. It wasn't easy. But after all, because the fight started with Kalilu's own group, That is
we were already formed. We were already formed before
you were already formed. That's what I said. I said the fight started with your group because they were already formed, but they did not go to any AGM or they did not go for the Congress. So I started the fight with that one. And once they were regularized, everything went fine. Then the other associations were formed simultaneously following. Between 2012, almost all the associations were in place. So that was one great achievement, I think, which we had done when we came in there. After that, unfortunately, that group did not understand or they did not read between the lines. Like you are saying, they did not understand that it is an independent movement. It's an independent group. But their focus was so much on subvention from the government, and NCAC will give us money. NCAC needs to give us money. And unfortunately, NCAC itself was not even self-sufficient. Previously, before this government, NCAC's budget was 0.005%. Can you give me that average, Pa Usman, if you can think of that average? If an institution or a government institution is not, I'm not saying 0.1, I'm saying it's 0.005%. This was NCAC's budget. That was not even...
This is why I say, Omar, this is why I said, Kalilu, that the government as a whole don't understand the importance of arts.
We are not talking about NCAC, we are talking about the government of the Gambia.
That's what Omar just said. If that is how much money the government could allocate to the NCAC, then that tells you how much they understand the importance of your institution.
Yeah.
But the idea was, in fact, there was a lot of money that was going into culture, which was more than that 0.005%. That is why I'm saying you have to read between the lines properly. There was a lot of money that was being pumped into culture. But as I said, it was 0.005% that was given to NCAC, National Center for Arts and Culture. That was what was given.
That is what we are backing you. That is what we are backing you. That is what we are backing you.
No, listen, there is a point more than that. There was, for example, if $100 or 100,000 was given for culture, allocated to culture, which would have been 0.1% of the GDP, or maybe 2% of the GDP, that could equivalent to 100,000. There was only 25,000 was given to the NCAC and 75,000 was kept at the State House under Yahya Jammeh's government. And that was what he was using for all the cultural festivals he was organizing and all the programs and all the activities that he was doing as related to festivals or programs relating to culture. There was a budget at the State House for culture.
Oh my God.
And there was somebody who were responsible for that. But NCAC, we were striving on projects as Kalilu. That is why I became today the greatest writer of project, because I had to live like a man when I was only a child, because the resources were not available, and I need to make sure I make these things exist. 5 projects to 7 projects we have made within these years, and these are big time projects, big time ones. I'm not talking about this.
Pause. Mr. Director, I just want to come to that question. I want to switch to that. Can you tell us the different funds NCAC is piloting on behalf of the arts and culture sector right now in the Gambia? Particularly, we want you to talk about the International Fund for Cultural Diversity.
Yeah, Kalilu, can you do that on a reframe? Can you do it? Let me just clear this part of Pa Usman. I would like to elaborate a little more on that. I will come to that. I have seen there also, which I think there is some little error or misunderstanding on that, especially on the IFC. I will talk about that. But let me just conclude on this point. It's very vital. It's very essential. So NCAC was not having the required fund, but it was available within the limits of Gambia government. And that is why I had done a lot of work for Yahya Jammeh in terms of the cultural activities he was doing. That was sponsored under the government, under the State House. I do not do any program that is politically motivated. even in the time of Yahya Jammeh, even of today's present government too. What I do, I only entertain and promote or execute national programs, especially programs that are related to promoting culture, and it's at the national level. But in those cases, the monies were coming from State House. It was not an NCAC budget. NCAC don't have that. So there was 100,000 that was allocated for culture, but 75, it's 25,000 that is given to NCAC, and then the 75,000 was kept at State House to manage cultural activities. There was a division responsible for cultural activities. That is why you used to see that, how do we call him? Borom Sikimbu Ebi. You should know Kalilu. Pa something they call him.
I know. I forget the name now. It's been 4 years now.
Yeah, okay, Pasen. Borom Sikim.
Pasen, okay, Pasen, wow. Yes.
And these were the people that were handling cultural affairs of Jan.
But then, would you agree that your institution was micromanaged because your job was taken away, your responsibility? Would that not render you redundant at the end of the day, Kalilu? Would it not render them redundant?
Absolutely. That is why we
so how comes you were mute about it?
Because I wanted to leave to explain it today, Pa Modu, Pa Osman. I wanted to leave to exist and then explain it today. Why didn't you stay here after the what was it? You have to be silent and just work the thing because you're hamgane. Man, when I came with the Kanyaleng Theatre work, it did not work. And I brought a project, 2 projects. What brought in Yankuba Ture to get in problem with Yahya Jammeh? It was the Kanyaleng Theatre, because the fund that was appropriated for that project, which was the first project, it was being mismanaged and micromanaged by Yankuba Ture. And when Yahya Jammeh realized about that, he requested for the fund, a report for the fund. They came after me at the Alliance Franco-Gambian, in which I was supported by Coopération Française. The monies were coming from those and EU. What I had to do was I refused to give statements or to submit any report to them, because I said the money was not from there. Where they had the money, they had to explain. And I wrote a big letter. The scandal, I pushed it over, which was published by Foroya and other newspapers. Then I crossed the river and then went down to Senegal and find my way back. That was history. I do not want to risk my self back when I came back in 2008.
So how did you guys know about this? What was the mood about this fund that was at State House? What was the mood about this at the center?
The trust fund, we knew about it, but there was nothing that we could do. We know that he was investing into culture. And of course, he was doing a lot of things into culture, frankly. But the fact is, it was not accountable. We were not accounting for it. We were not the accounting officer. My boss will always say, Sheikh, let's work with the meager resources we have to live and explain tomorrow. And then that is why we are here today. And then whatever is given to us, we work on it to the best of our ability. But we were not also relying on government. The institution was working wonderfully by virtue of our brainstorming. We were writing.
That comes to my question. That comes to my question. The WIPO funds are coming directly to governments, and then National Center for Arts and Culture are the ones who are receiving that, and they are the ones who are initiating programs towards that. The UNESCO funds. Wait, Mr. Director. The UNESCO funds for cultural heritage and cultural diversity promotions are also coming to the Gambia, and then it is the center that is propagating those funds. They are the ones who are initiating activities towards those funds. Can you tell us something about those funds also, without the government, which PAOs told us before?
Okay. Fake news. Fake news. All this you are talking about are all fake news. You know why?
So you want to tell me that there is no UNESCO fund that is coming to the Gambia? How do you have the Kankuran Museum in Janyambure?
You are confusing the terminologies. Let me help you each one of them one by one.
No, I told you phones. Tell me the.
I know, you were an outsider. You were only getting hints. I am an insider. I get facts.
So are you think I don't know about the phones?
Carl, let
him just tell us. Let's allow him to tell us then.
No, tell us now.
Carl, let me learn. Carl, as I said, I would like to repeat that it's fake news. Fake news. What happens is, WIPO, when we have an issue to address in our domain, we write to WIPO and WIPO facilitate, or they give us fund to facilitate that workshop or whatever we have to do.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, listen, that's not the problem. Where the problem is, I haven't come there. Just listen. That's why I said you only stepped on the first foot and you left your last foot behind. That's where the problem is. So the point is, WIPO, when we are to write, when we sit there again, we sit and crack our brains and think about the project that we want to address, the issue we want to address, and we write the project. We sit and toil to make sure we develop a project that would be very sustainable to WIPO. And when we send this project to WIPO, they address what you call activity-based budget.
Exactly.
Activity-based, we exhaust the project and then we send back to WIPO the reports, the results, and the deliverables, all the things that was expected or that we claim in the project to make sure that it's being done. So mostly the money is out. Of course, we will have our per diem or as whatever allowance we need to have, because we've been working on it and make sure that the attendance, those who attend, are also paid, and some of these things we execute it. Mostly there is nothing, because it's not usually big amount of money that you have to keep for doing. It's activity-based budget. You have to explain this is the activity.
I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. That is clear.
So all the things that was coming from WIPO was very much related. WIPO don't give free money. They only give activity-based budget. So two, the unfortunate and the error that you have made is, Carl, the Gambia has never done what you call QPR for 2005 convention. The Gambia, for the first time, we did a QPR, which is the quadrennial periodical reporting.
In 2018. Yeah.
No, 2019.
Yeah, I did not make an error on that.
Let me finish. In 2019 is the first time we did what you call the 2005 QPR, which is reporting on the QPR. And for the IFCD, you can never benefit from the IFCD if you have not reported on the QPR.
That I know. So, I asked the director, and he told me that exactly.
Well, even on your interview with Kasim, I saw when you've mentioned IFCD. The IFCD, I'm telling you, I tried it this year. This is the first time we tried it, but I failed. They said I did not do good. I did not write good. I failed. I failed. I tried it. I tried my hustle for 14 good days. I am writing to the best of my skills.
So how did you write? How did you write, Sheikh Omar? Why?
Okay, let's ask him this. Why did you fail?
Why did you fail?
I failed because you know what? For one, the timing the guy wanted, Chilean wanted a submission be. The transaction be, I sent it through Natcom. The transaction be purmujoge ko Natcom. They have their own template. You send mako aglolu feka man yegu mane dama ko wara jël putat ko ci template bobu non to put it in that template and send it back to Natcom. Then I traveled. Whilst I traveled up country la dem, because it was precisely around the Janjambure Kankurang festival. I was in Janjambure without having any access to internet or even Tasumahel Damuchi. By the time I came, the deadline was over.
Yeah, you missed the deadline.
Okay. They did not approve our approval. Or probably it's only one institution that has made it. to that IFCD bobu moy Senegalo Gambia office bi, which in the end I supported them because xam naa ne man mënuma koo make. I supported them Senegalo Gambia office bi because ñoom tamit yëgoon nañ ko through Senegalese interaction because ñoom yàgg nañ ko apply yàgg nañ ko di ko am. So send Senegalese counterparties support them so that you am a cross-border cultural exchange.
Yeah, I want to come in there, if you would allow me.
Yeah, Pa, you want to come?
You see, Mr. Omar, this is one of the biggest problems that I notice when it comes to Gambia and our officials or public officials. Timing is not something that we do so well with, to be frank, in my view, because something that is this important everywhere around the world. I write proposals here all the time, and most proposals have deadlines actually. And if you miss the deadline, it's a good enough reason. It's a recipe for you to be rejected. It doesn't matter how colorful or how good the proposal is. And I want to recommend that all government officials, including the NCAC, does better when it comes to these things, because this could be something that could have been a life-changing fund that can touch a lot of things for Gambia. Now, when it comes to putting things out there, when it comes to educating the public and letting them know, probably you could have even had some support if you had actually consulted and involved the stakeholders who are going to be beneficiaries to something like this. And I will ask you, based on what you said, is why I am saying this, but you could have actually, if you haven't done so, engage the stakeholders, consult with them, and even have them give you all the skeleton. You just add flesh to it, and that would have made your proposal a lot more colorful, especially if it is submitted on time, so that you can actually deliver a wonderful thing that would end up yielding a lot of dividend for the country. Kalilu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Pa, the director clearly told me exactly what Mr. Jallow has told me. I never said that the NCSE was having the IFPD funds. I just said that they had the opportunity now to apply for the funds. And the director said, yes, and now the Gambia can be able to apply, and Sheikh Omar is being taxed to form a consortium. And through this consortium, they could be able to work with different arts associations and artist groups. But again, independent group can also submit the fund. Why didn't you release the fund to the public so that other institutions can apply?
Exactly.
Why?
Okay. When we were doing the QPR, or when it was even introduced to NCAC, it was together with all the stakeholders in the creative and culture sector. We were all together. So it was not actually NCAC that got the information. We had a forum. The consultant came from Nigeria, teach all of us how to go and do this funding, how to go out there and write and prepare ourselves. But nothing came from any of the institutions or any of the associations or any of the CBS groups. Nobody applied. It was only the Senegal that tried and my office.
Mr. Jallow, Mr. Jallow, the thing is also, UNESCO have a timeline. When they release the form, call for
that's not the point for the timeline now. The point is, you are asking why the NCSC did not share. I said NCSC does not need to share because this was a breaking news in between an occasion that NCSC organized, and an expert was flown from Nigeria to come and teach NCSC with the stakeholders. When the stakeholders were trained and NCSC, it was only 2 from the stakeholders, which was over 60 stakeholders, 60 institutions that were on that forum. It was only 2 of us who applied. NCAC was trying its luck, and Senegalo Gambia was trying its luck, and we are the only 2 that have tried.
Okay.
So do I still need to go back to
Mr. Sheikh Omar?
No.
And I generalize these things because it's a replication across the board when it comes to government institutions. And I say this in almost all my forums. Our government officials or the Gambia government is very good from as far back as I can remember, are very good when it comes to putting pen to paper. But when it comes to implementation, is usually a problem. And this will take me back to from the conversation that you and Carl had from the beginning, the first 15 or 20 minutes that you were talking and I was listening. A lot of things have been said here, a lot of projects and ideas, wonderful ideas that probably were initiated by the NCAC or the Ministry of Tourism and Culture or even the Arts Association and others. These things get talked about. As far back as I remember, this copyright stuff have been talked about in 2003, 2004. I remember attending a meeting, I forgot which hotel it was. Jamono joju ñom maslabi, ñom Jolof man Yusuf Ambu Njai, Yusuf Angwambami Musa Angwambi duma baye my friend, no compose. The same thing ñom maslabi ñoo fa nekkon. We had meetings about these things until this minute. The copyright laws of the Gambia are not implemented. Our team asked this to the minister. Last press conference, Minister Khitahasum Neko Kai Gatonto. Why is it so hard for these things that have been already penned, that has been approved, that have been sitting there for the longest? Whether it's the Copyright Act or any other laws or programs that need to be executed, including this Arts Association and all of the things that need to be done. Why is it hard for them to just happen? New the opportunity for Gatonto Foko.
Wow. Pause. That was a brilliant point. Legi foog naa ne part bale leer na on projects and issues yooyu no clarify na because dama dee bëgg ñu jël point by point fi nga dugga si ni domaine bi I'm so happy that ne you are going into that point which is very relevant li problem bi pa I tell you billahi wallahi taala to move the copyright man it's not under my domain sir why lolo ma yobu NCAC Carl will say I will always say to them I went to NCAC to make sure that copyright works because you know why? Because I'm a stakeholder. I have films that are at stake. The man they produce, they work on issues, and then I said, no, things are not working. I want to make sure it works. Why? When I found myself inside, I came to see it's a little bit different. One, the point was, I'm the institution be lack funding. Why? Jengo nañ di def the basic things yi li nga xam ne more necessary mooy lan form nañ associations yi which we should not have done associations yi ñoo war a jugalal seen boppa ñu def ko wax naa fi loolu ba pare ñu ñëw tout pour make sure ne même rek pour make sure ne associations yi ñu dox kaal foofu la problème bi nekk pas ause because associations yi amul benn association si ñii nii pause jojal loolu laa la wax laajal ma benn association si ñii nii depuis 2012 bu musa am an AGM apart from the Writers Association of the Gambia bu musa am an AGM o mën a sa congrès si seen boppa waxam ma benn association si biir association si nii artistic association si laa la wax pa wax ma ci benn boo xam ne executive am bi mujjeewu ñoo am an issue ñu yóbbu leen congress by force apart from the Writers Association of the Gambia wax ma ci benn
dëgg nga ngay wax loolu noonu sa dëgg la yeah,
mema ma daaneel mema xam nga fu problème bi nekk do I wouldn't say they put square holes in round pegs.
In round pegs.
Square peg in round holes.
I wouldn't say that maybe. Well, how many problem bi? Ndeysaan, I think apart from ñoom Kalilu seen groupe bi, those people were not money conscious because du ñu naan laaj xaalis even su fekkee ne ñoom mënuñoo def dara o mënuñoo am lii nii ñoom tane woon nañ groupe bi musa am $72,000 in their account. Only association bu ko musa am.
Yeah, but I had funding with you. I had funding with you from Gamcel over 350. Is it about $200 and something thousand with regards to the sub-regional music festival when UNESCO gave 300.
I was in there, Carl.
Yeah, we went. Yeah, by then.
We spoke about that together in the studio. I was never at the NCAC. How much you know?
No, you were not there. Yeah, you were not there. I know.
No. Don't bring in points. I cannot answer. I wasn't there. I don't know anything about those things, and I regret. That fund bobu no. Actually, it creates more problem for me at Gamcel now than ever. I wish that never happened. So lolu munuma ci comment how much you know there, and I wish that yen mi dugalante won lolu ngeen ñewon to the
corruption involved in that then.
Huh?
Yeah, but, what I'm trying to say, NCAC had secured funding for sub-regional music festival, which was kidnapped by the then president. Yeah, then
Carl, that
yeah.
I said I cannot revamp, I cannot speak on that because I was not at the NCAC at then, and I was together with you when that was happening. I could not do anything because I am not a member of NCAC. But when I came in, I have more problem about that fund than anybody else.
I just want to buttress that we supported by writing the proposal because we were there. We wrote the letters. I was there with you, second one. We knew what to do, and then we wrote the letters. We wrote the proposal and sent it to the company.
That is why that is a foregone thing because I was with you when that happened and NCAC did it. Then Manjo Juge ko Ciceron, Madam joined the NCAC to go and fight those things. So I am not going to comment on that because I have no idea. We all are victims of that, and I cannot say anything, and I have no trace of that because my understanding is it was with the then, it has been transferred to the then president for his own thing, whatever. But I don't want to comment on that. What I am talking about is my 8 years tenure. I spent 8 years in NCAC. My 8 years tenure. That's what I am talking about. My 8 years as the director for the creative and performing arts. Is that what you're assessing?
Yeah, Paos has a valid question. What about government implementing policies and programs that are geared towards creating a vibrant cultural sector in the Gambia? Okay.
So, Paos, in regards to that, the challenge be moine, the artistic associations, they are the economic engine of the copyright be. Li government wara def ñaari principal thing la li ñaari principal thing is
Omar, I'm not going to second just to say mune dafa nek sub voice you are screaming danga loud and headphone lañ nek di use. If you can lower your voice kenn ci commentator ci mu ngi wax lolu. If you just want to lower your
voice bi fi fogna.
Well, if you just can lower your voice instead of screaming. Yeah.
How is it now?
Wa mun nga wax rek
Wow, okay. Is it okay?
Wow.
Wow, good. Legi lima wax moy ne mané the artistic associations send programs are not actually what the NCAC will implement. NCAC implementation dafa very limited to work film aga because lim warona def moy ne bena li copyright bi wara doye moy pause. Copyright bi dafa indicate ñu ne dina act bi am. NCAC fexe ba act bi am. Bi act bi amee ñu seet ci biir instruments yi li nga xam ne moo war a am ñu ne because dafa war a am li ñoo ooyee as CMO ak collective management organisation which is supposed to be the CSG mooy the Copyright Society of the Gambia. Loolu nag li ko war a form doo ko formé noonu ñu ne déedéet the system bi dafa war a nekk artistic associations have to be formed. Artistic associations yi seen formation boobu noonu artistic association benn formu dara amut lu dul Gambia Music Union bi nga xam ne ñoom Kalilu fa lañ nekkoon ñu form associations yooyu noonu ñu dem on the next step bi step boobu jeexee di third step bi mooy lan la ñu dem to have what we call the CSG muy the Copyright Society of the Gambia bi ñu defaral loolu dinaa la ne Hakim bokk na si ñi nga xam ne single handedly moo ma jox xaalis
Hakim man Sons of Light, Sunland Music.
Hakim.
Moma
corner. Because we get halal interest of aglim def. Moma ne Mr. Jallow, I know you are struggling to get funding, but if you can, I would like to support you. Mu ekati $35,000. $35,000 le Hakim ekati. Nama ne pour ma fay for Karaba Hall ak ñu am for no lifin bi yep. That money I'm gonna lol fay Karaba Hall $35,000. But we supplemented because this next effort be from somebody. Ko xamne sa well technically nare du Gambian. Gambians yaa ngi talk. Ñepa ge hall and we made the cry ne xaalis amul. NCAC needs support. Hakim mom rek a génne ne ñu ne $35,000 ngi ni am leen support naa leen pour ngeen dem congress. Ñu dem congress form the CSG bi. Bi CSG bi ñëwee first group bi ñu ñëw ñu ne dañ need seed money. Dañ dem 6 months down the line ñu ne parce que ci suñ site moo ne ñoom mënuñoo opérater ni ñu resign because NCAC yi amut xaalis sax lim leen di li moo fayee staff sami ñun dinañ am xaalis di ñoo jox CSG bi boobu nekk ay challenge gis nga gars yi how money conscious they are the next group bi ñëw ñooñu tamit continuer ñu dem ba overstay ñu ne ah yéen ñu defu leen sa an AGM ñu ne ñoo mënuñoo def AGM because amuñ xaalis ñu dem ba congress jot after 3 years sitting on the bench bi ñu ne dem leen congress ñu ne mënuñoo dem congress ma utiwaat xaalis I did the fundraising by going to Gamcel Africell ak yooyu noonu di ut foofu noonu ay tabarabara li nga xam ne ñoom seen boppam mënoon nañ ko they could have done to go to congress because li ma def dama taka suma daalay dem pare ma taka suma nektaay eggaga ñoom di extase yi di wàcca di laajte ba am xaalis tuuti ma ñëw jox leen ñu dem congress executive boobu toog beneen executive boobu la suñ toogee dama demaat ba ñooñu seen taam jee ñooñu toogaat beneen 1 year 2 years 3 years ma faytateeg ñoom mu nekkaat hey président executive dañ ma dee wax deliberately ne Cheikh Omar ñun ñoo bañ duñ dem congress come on pa ñooñu are those people
are you telling us that it is because the arts associations are refusing to go to congress that is what is holding this copyright hostage
because xam nga ni copyright regime bi tego copyright regime bi dafa jox NCAC benn mandate because there is 2 regime the copyright office bi which has the right to fight against piracy create awareness and do registration or repertoire, create the repertoire of the Gambia's cultural artistic history. Repertoire.
Exactly.
Li moy the mandate of the copyright office bi. Right. We have a skeletal staff that are registering all the works of artistics. Ñu nga xamne ñu ngi artist lañ ñu ko def am nañ a copyright office ñu ngi fight against piracy. Jaliba Kuyate Teba bi pirate nañ ko fi last year. I went round and arrested over 32 pirates within Marse Serekunda ak Marse Banjul ma yóbbu leen ñu leen di yóbbu koot Jaliba jaay kees bi ne moom du yóbbu gaay koot ñi ay fansam lañ ma def loolu passé dama fight ak patient Sonko get when kees bi bañ paree tëj Bottrop High School ak Brikama xaalis boobu noonu ba léegi gaay ma ñu leen di fight pour xaalis boobu génn
Mr. Director why pa madane dama la jàppale in the composition of the collecting society of the Gambia one of the director generals of the National Center for Arts and Culture is a representative inside the collecting society. So if the collecting society members are not going to Congress, yen sen representative ku fa neka koku lan mo neka role am bi fofu nonu in the collecting society?
Wow, okay. Koku nonu role am as there is just to represent the NCAC there because koko ñu day jox report. Xam nga ne man yo xam nga ne man bokuma ci fofu. So koko ñu day jox report ne the artistic association si nekkuñ di dem Congress. So ñun suñu jité lolu pare wuñ put them Congress or issues and it needs to go because ñun tamit dañ am put them Congress. CSGB cannot go to Congress when the artistic associations don't go to Congress because it's the opposite.
That the barrier here is the artistic associations not going to Congress. It's important that this thing is clear because there is a lot of talk about this. And like I said, DP 2003, 2004, Li Nyunko Toga Bete, over 15 years now, Gambia's copyright laws cannot be implemented. And it's shocking. And we are all stakeholders in this. We are content creators.
Wow. The second tiers of the copyright regime.
Okay.
The second tier of the copyright regime. I'm going to the copyright office. And you will agree with me that that is very functional. You get try. Copyright office is very functional. We have required
No. The director tell us that in 2018 coming to 2020. Wait. The director said in 2018 coming to 2020, the government of the Gambia have did a lot for the creative sector and they have supported them to have a staff. Before you were having only one staff in the copyright bureau. It is just now that
in retrospect, I have said that now we have fulfilled because what were regulations is that We have a regulation, we have an office, we have a copyright, we are doing enforcement. Bulma delo in retrospect.
5 years ago, it was not like that. 3 years ago, it was 4 years ago, it was not like that. It's not.
Copyright regulation, it was signed in 2018. Copyright regulation, it was signed in 2018. So it's a gradual process. So and
that should be okay, Sheikh Omar. People's life and livelihood dependent mostly on this. Content creators, artists, ñi nga xamne su li amut ñom duñ lekk wala motax Gambian musicians ci Gambian culture sector bi dañ ken chapter wut ci suma ko waxe a lot of them don't have to hear it. Only few ñi amantu performance sax ñom gisulak ñi ak masi jaliba kete gi ñoo sé amantu tuti mo chat. Majority of the people ñu ngi sonate ñi sen life ci li la wara depend nga xamne every month dinañ am lu tuti li ñoo jappa is for over 10 years or over 15 years ñu ngi dundali and it should be okay.
Pa li ma leen wax ma leen ne déglu leen ma ba léegi de.
Okay.
The second part bi. Ma leen ne foofu la problème bi nekk because dama la doon enforcer ne side NCAC guy fulfill nañ ko jaaxal nañ ko xam nga beneen side of the copyright regime bi what that is xam nga la nay beneen side of the copyright regime.
I would like to know.
Good. That is the collective management organization.
Okay.
The collective management organization is represented by the CSG, which is the Copyright Society of the Gambia.
Okay.
I'm going to let the Copyright Society of the Gambia send mandate.
Break it down for us.
To
understand ko. Understand.
The reason why I took my time today, on board season platform B, I did it for this, and I would like it to achieve. I'd like to achieve my goal very well.
Yeah. Okay.
Then, the Collective Society of the Gambia is responsible for the signing of agreements of all artistic groups. Artists, then you want a license. Then you want to license the Copyright Society for you collect on their behalf. That's number one. Number two, they should go to all the institutions to arrange with them about the tariff and payment fee. They should go to all the institutions.
Let us qualify it. Let us qualify it.
All end users.
Hello, end users. Genau. Let us qualify it. End users. Yeah.
All end users.
Genau.
Which even taxi driver, then what I arrange at ñom pour ne gaay sen radio bi ñoo play sen biir moto bi lan la musique biñ fa consume naka lañ ko wara fayé o ñu dem jiaré ñu jox leen stratégie ni gaay di mu ne collect xaliss yoy nonu ci sen tax returns yi or whatever. Two, ñom rek am the right bi to collect on behalf of all the artistic associations or individuals fay côté the artistic association ci xaliss bi. And three, ñom rek mëna fay artistes yi ne leen ne seen xaalis bi ngeen ñu contract on joxoon ñu license bi. It's here we have collected this nangam dañ war a jël 35% of seen xaalis then seen balance a ngi nii loolu fan la NCAC ñëw foofu noonu pa lana xew ci diggante googu lanay problème bi naaw.
We are talking about a society that never had this thing. That didn't know. Right now, we see quite a good number of Gambian Uncle Badu Job. If he is watching and commenting, actually, his latest comment is arts trade unions and Copyright Act are two completely different institutions. Copyright Act only deals with creators, author right and copyright. Comme ni Abraham Boy Munge Setan in Sweden, Joseph Koka Munge Setan. These are all Musambuk Munge Setan. These are all Andana ni Gambian yo xamne ñu ngi bitim rew and they are enjoying some copyright related content at this minute.
Fan la comment yi nekk fan la ko mëna follow
on the Gambian Talents page.
Wow. Don't go use later. But Pa,
it's right there on the screen. It's right there. Musa just put it on the screen for you.
Yeah, Copyright Act only deals with creators, authors' right, and copyright. Uncle, NCAC have a representative in the Collecting Society of the Gambia. No matter what, the problems that the Collecting Society of the Gambia was facing is because of seed grant. Okay, even though we can say that is not the role of the government of the Gambia, maybe you can say that, but the Copyright Act clearly mentioned the Collecting Society of the Gambia. So it would have been our advocacy point including the stakeholders and NCAC, to tell how important it is to have an institution of that nature.
And you see, advocacy and awareness creation, Mr. Jallow, is very important in anything. And all of these things that that component. If you have something new, if you like the fund NCAC come up, fund the Ministry of Culture, listen, baby, yen create yena ko introduce to the parliament, ngen tax ñu approve ko. At the end of the day, Gambian society bi, Gambian stakeholders, beneficiaries, role bu ci guy wara play, they need to know it and understand it very well. Can you tell us now how much you have contributed or how much effort you've made to actually educate the people? Because artists list directly send engineering la, listen benefit. If they understand it fully well, how rigorous, how much of a rigorous effort did we make to actually make sure that guy am a clear understanding of this? Because law hamnesa interest that dafa in the much suppose every month, so understanding you will make a concerted effort to make sure that it happens. Can you tell us the efforts that the NCAC have made and what you intend to do moving on so that the artists understand this fully well? So that we break that barrier, and that is one of the reasons why Kalilu actually brought you to this platform, if I may say.
Wow, Kalilu, can you answer the first part of the question? How much effort has the NCAC done to sensitize or does in workshops? Nyata workshop na attend linga on copyright regular.
No, I understand to the fact. I understand to the fact that
there has
been a lot of workshops that you have done in the past.
More than 10, Hannah.
Yeah, one part of it is educating the Gambian populace, the citizenry, for them to be able to understand what the copyright has to do with the Gambia.
End users, you are talking about the basic taxi drivers. Everybody needs to be educated. Workshops attend workshop. How much coverage was given to this workshop? You need to invite them through the media, especially things like this, and say, Omar, personally, you know that. I mean, a lot of you probably are rarely available for interviews to talk about something. Definitely is one thing that could have been done for the longest. I'm not saying you have, but how many times have you really gotten to this level to talk about this? I would not say this is the first time, but if it is not the first time, Ninko breakdown the things and process. You tell us, I stand to be corrected again. But tell us,
I stand to correct you, Pa. I stand to correct you because alhamdulillah, the madam beleg know why then I even the media because they say I am media matic. I am media maniac because they classify me, you know, I'm a media maniac, and I had to even be forewarned to desist from because man sumademe is ngani ma waye ak yoni. In fact, sumademe in a platform sometimes I become very social. The money them pay the you know the dalante ak yoni sa. The money them to the end. Then they watan. Amul ben media bu ma invited fee. Amul ben platform bu ma togut fii nii.
Yang itu Gambian talent for the record man personally ya gana la topa de waxu gaay di gade dan
Suloma yo li ma musa topa nga ne suma daxa bi bang ma
for interviews musuloy ñew yang do ñew Gambian talent.
I don't have any proof of that in my emails or in my documents here. What I have, I know. Moy ne invite nga ma nga dégé nga ne ñu ne dañ ma daxa. Amar ba def ma daha bobu def nako nga def lolu ruma bobu ma clarify nako bi ma callé directly ma clarify lako wala suma bopa ma wala ca ma jeelti. I don't think bu bobu jeye be legi the next time I met you again on a platform or even to talk with you is about this program Ablay Mbay
but we don't have to go back to that anyway. Open mic was the last time when the issue happened with the open mic.
I was together with Kini Samba. Samba will tell you if she is listening, she should be able to comment. Man, ma to get the speech that was given there, I did it. So
the last time that I contacted you was last year when the Open Mic Festival had a saga, this issue of Mamjara production, Wali Seka, Open Mic, and we had to invite the different stakeholders. NCAC was in the middle of this, and we needed to hear the version of the NCAC. I invited you, you confirmed you are going to come last minute, you didn't. But let's not shift this, let's allow you to elaborate on it.
Bobo is something else, right? Man, I am a media maniac. I go in Kalilu Dinalawa Lulu. I go to the media just recently, last start to avoid because the howling, the agwa be aglini, because somebody problem, Lee move the thing. It's just 3 institutions regular, 3 things regular. Linga man, Lola recommend Lola our government and Lola idealize even the new setup in your destiny. The artistic associations you have to work. If they don't work, nothing will work. They are the instrument, stakeholders. This is about right holders. Interest group. Okay? It's the right holders interest group. So if it is the right holders interest group, then ñoo stand up to their feet. They don't have to depend on the government you seed money, then you hard seed money. That's not the point. The point is about naga institutionalized and bopa ñu jël su fekkane dañoo am even a skeletal staff ki nga xamne dina jeng mu len di togal ci ground bi di len ligéyal. They need that because gis nga arrangements yi ni all these instruments yi ni it can never be done by NCAC and NCAC duñ ko def. And even whereas associations they did not get up on it. Xam nga lima def sa ras congress bi my warning suma meeting bi ma nekati which is going to be the last part of the discussion bi. I'm telling them that this is the last time that NCAC is going to involve in the congresses of the artistic associations. If any artistic association, amal na len halis, dina len jox a tuti money, amal na len tuti congress money. So partially, if anybody doubt, billahi danga lab kon or else there must be a Samaritan that must come from highway and then mu rescue them. Why? We will never give or jumpstart any other association. We have done it 3 times. We might be 3rd time. Yep, fight like what they did.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Let him continue breaking it down for them. I want to recommend you allow Godly to break down because it is important. This copyright that is sitting there for the longest, you can more break. Wahna RTC accent part. Let him elaborate on the other parts.
Yeah, no, we want to. I want to come there. Yeah, I want to come to.
No, let me just clarify one thing before you move on. You know what is the saddest thing about the copyright side? In the whole of the Gambia, where you have more than 17,600 artists existing in the culture and creative industry, there is only 2 works, 2 artists, regular copyright institution be the muna guarantee in the Gambia here. So you collect royalty taji. Hakim la ñoo collectal because mom rek musa renda wogam at the CSGB jox leen license bu weesoo Hakim benen boy bi nga xamne def nañ ko fi ñu ngi license liggéeyam to the copyright ligne bi apart from Hakim benen artist rek la Fatina Turi boy bi de I cannot remember the name bi because he is not even in the Gambia here. The whole of the Gambia tay ji suñu copyright su ñoo tànnal ñëpp di fay tey jii ñaari nit nekk ak ji la ñii because
Jibu
Bala Gaye ñii rek a dem jël seen liggéey yi license ko to the copyright society bi ne leen ne collect royalties on our behalf.
Okay. We are doing interactive.
Guy bëggoon a fight Africell. ñu ngi soloon ndimbal from NCAC and from the CSG. The CSG cannot do anything for any artist if you don't license the CSG your work pour ñu collect on your behalf.
I was there during that time. Exactly.
You were there. You remember that very well. Guy jël seen som bi ni ñu ñëw jokko guy mooy di nga mën a fàttale ko som bi ñëwee wane bul faale ñii bul faale ñii naka bul faale ñii
Jalimadi ak ji waaw Jalimadi ak ji
Yeah.
You remember that song? Bobu, bagay jele bobu wak bobu non ak woy hakim bi do tax ñu dem topi ji Africell be Africell mujé def out of court settlement. Ñu mujé fay gaay about
Mr. Director,
$350,000.
Mr. Director, I want the public to be able to learn from your conversation. You have said something very important, and I think this is important for us to talk about that. Pa, hangalan mo nek problem li dama ko wa ci Olof sa Omar ci bopam mo identify fofu nonu. Out of 17,000 artists, it is only 2 artists ñoo xamne ne dañ surrender, then render send materials to the collecting society of the Gambia. Lolu mu ngi la wone ne the arts association so len formé sen executives the artists are not respecting those associations because they are not going there to register with them. So NCAC lu warona def mo nekane you should have given one of your mandates of registration and tell the artists, if you don't register with your arts associations, we are not going to consider you. Pa lolu fofu moy problem bi. Pa because
let's allow him to turn to la fofu. Kalilu is recommending, which he recommended to Hasum. I heard it and Hasum agreed. For relegate that registration responsibility to the associations. What is your response to Kalilu's recommendation?
Carl, that's a good recommendation, and it's point noted. Why? Li have affaire bi moy ne man I look into the instrument bi nga wani lolu bargaining la wata la bo xamne is a help. Why? It's not a mandate. It's not mandatory. Dama bëgg ngeen di distinct a privilege and a mandatory.
No, it's not a mandate.
It's a recommendation that Kalilu gave.
It's a recommendation. It's just a recommendation.
It's a recommendation. Why? It's not something that you can say that it is something that should happen.
No, I'm not. No. You see.
It should happen. That was just recommend. That's not
Pause. Limay di wax manen ne lolu without even mom wax ko fi ñun dañ ko def defuñ ko mandatory because li xew moy even join association si it's a question interest group la bu len faté lolu it's an interest group daf la ne nga join association si daf la ne do join why ñun dañ dé support.
So do you agree that if these interest groups work, it's also in the interest of the NCAC and it makes your work easier?
Billahi wallahi tallahi, I would have been the best person on this earth.
Yeah, then
is it not possible for NCAC? Another recommendation from me now, would NCAC not try to do that? Because apparently, as Kalilu said it, you set up these arts group or interest groups and they are not working. Artists are not following it. They are not respecting it. I would think education be more there somewhere. Would NCAC consider trying to have a lot more sensitization and functions tete-a-tete with these people, including, of course, some of these things, to be more visible with the media, to talk specifically about these things, even if it takes trying to have paid programs on these platforms or advertisements just to talk about this, so that young artists know the importance of these things. Like you said, it's shocking, out of the 17,000 plus registered artists with the in the Gambia, only 2 or 3 can actually benefit from this. Now, can you tell us, the couple of questions I'll have for you is, one, can you tell us statistics from the Joge? Like, how are you able to establish that we have 17,000 artists? And 2, what efforts have been made to educate these people for new ham Nelly exists, and this is something that's going to be to their benefit?
Wow, okay, good. The arithmetic that we have done in regards to this is by the regions, because they in each of the regions, in the administrative areas, we had tried to establish the cultural committees. The cultural committees in the region buneka, they give statistics of area, because festivals, we support them by virtue of the allocation of the number of artists or beneficiaries. So when you put these things together, apart from register from our data here, you collect, and in fact it's not 7,000, I said 17,600.
70,000.
Reflect that another way in our discussion. I did say 17,600. So as of now, which is just around this COVID living bini, the arithmetic we have put together, and I will come to justify that later on. Why? Limawa moine bobu recommendation being make. It's plausible. It's wonderful. I agree with it. And I'm telling you, we have been doing it even before B. And if the associations work, it helps me. Why have I using strategy? We do trainers of trainees. We take the heads of I would bet association head or executive member Bohamne. Dingane, I did not attend a workshop of an NCAC more than 5 times. I said 10 times. During my tenure.
Lolu degala.
So yeah. Legi man luma yakar moine. Come on. Man benala. If I take 3, I think that 3 bobunon they should just multiply to go to 6. 6 you multiply to go to 12. 12 you multiply to go to 24. I cannot go to all these living series.
But you are going back to it. They say they don't have the resources. If they are supported for it to multiply, they may have the resources. TOTs, when conducted, of course, the Yingtiran have the responsibility to actually go back and train the others. But the conducive environment should be there. The place, the logistics, and all other things. What arrangements can NCAC do to actually support them?
It should come from me.
No, facilitating.
Come from their efforts.
No, you should just facilitate. Okay, Pa.
I am the #1 writer of letters. Lagal Kaliru, do they talk to my office for 10 minutes? Send letter pareu.
Wow.
At any other institution, any other arts association. In fact, sir, man do malende jo letter rek. The malende jo letter. Nyena the malende
Yes, Omar, I just give you an example. When I was the Secretary General of the Gambia Music Union, I was working full-time with the Children and Community Initiative for Development.
Very good. It was
you never send a proposal or you send a letter to me. I did not respond within 30 minutes because I was having the facilities there with me.
Yes.
Because I was working full-time with an organization which is different from the Music Union. So that is why I was very efficient in corresponding and at the same time in doing my work at the right time.
In fact, that was your success.
But now you have the Musicians Union. They don't have a secretariat. They don't have a functional officer. They don't have maybe a seed grant that is going to enable them to employ 1 or 2 persons. How can they effectively implement their plan of actions? That is a question.
Carl, Carl, you were never paid, as long as I know, for being the Secretary General of the Gambia Music Union. You were never paid.
Yes.
And you had managed the richest association at that time with $72,000 in your account. The richest association, you managed it with $72,000 in your account. Am I not right?
Yes.
Carl,
am I not right?
You are right. I acknowledge.
You have never been paid salary.
No.
Despite being the richest association.
Yes.
And you still kept the status quo and it was moving.
Yes.
You know why?
Yeah.
It was the passion that you had. And maybe that was right. Maybe the opportunities you had with Kate, that was also another point that could have helped. But the point is, I think the caliber of people that were in it were different. After your tenure, it was Sirifo that came in because it was Langom was the Secretary General. Langom is an BBC, born before computer. Langom is a born before computer, so he is not the type that will be as instrumentalist as you are, really active as you was.
No, we understand. Yeah.
Good. And then Langom was not the one that would have been doing that kind of errands that you were doing. So he relegated most of the activities or most of the assignments to Sirifo.
And Sirifo was working on survival too.
Sirifo was working on survival and then jumping from one institution to another and setting up his own business. and he has a sickly wife. Every other meeting, his wife is sick. He had to attend the wife first, and then would be absent from the meeting. Come on, Carl. The series was too much. There was too many things that was going on, and it was actually a big challenge. So the point is, it's not even membership drive, which you could have collected money from. CD4 did not even collect more than 30,000. CD4 did not even collect, no, more than 10,000. CD4 did not collect more than $10,000 each. Eh, you think those people are working? What have they done? And you think that it's NCAC that's responsible for that too? No. For me, you know what I tell them?
So this will bring me to a recommendation. Kalilu, here we are looking for solutions as the time goes by. Now, is the NCAC not able to gain Gomasen Boti and probably have one staff that you would dedicate to this effort? Muneka Fofu a designee at your office and support the staff with the resources, even if it is going to be an additional task to a staff who is already doing some other tasks, or Muneka a completely new staff. And I'm just saying this, Muneka a completely new staff, a completely new officer that would be responsible for this, or Muneka ko hamne mungi am yenen responsibilities.
No,
Pa, this was not your idea. Danko Dega.
I'm saying this because I am privy to stuff. For example, with
information then.
No, the information I'm saying I'm privy to. For example, I've seen and I interviewed Mati Job on this. Mati Job went with Nyom Jali Matar and others to China. In what capacity? Was that Mati Job's responsibility? Is she the one that should have gone there for that event? I'm saying, so you use Lolo for the and interview Mati, by the way. When she went to China, I asked Mati, in what capacity did she go to represent Daisy Lolo? And on a separate note, the people doing leather work and stuff, Mati Job had to go represent the NCAC at that event. I forgot the title. Then even nominate Kofa and gave her a position, Promuneka, wherever, president or wherever she was that Mati Job's responsibility for Mudaflolu? So it looks like at the NCAC, and I stand to be corrected on this, you are here, it's an opportunity for you to clear this. Or seeing some of these things, your supporter might have attended some other events on behalf of the NCAC, which could have been attended by other people, or get of certain responsibilities. You have okay, opportunities are here and there, but this one is very important. You cannot create something like this. How can you reconcile this for us? Tomorrow I'm privy to information. Lila don't work. Making a reconcile and you know.
My clear point now. The first point is in regards to the bringing in of an a skeletal staff or something like that. Yes, that was a very we had initiated that, and the experiment had already worked for us.
Okay.
Because when we knew that the only serious association was the Writers Association of the Gambia, we expected, we tried that. If Khalil would recall, the first initiation after our executive council, I live in the Congress. I did promise that I am going to create a DEX office at the annex office in Fajara for all the artistic associations. You send in somebody, one person, who would have come to represent the association at least 3 times in the week for just 3 hours. Every day, so that most of these things it would have been redelegated to them or redirected to them to assist in. Lajal Kal, how many of them came? Because amuñ pass bu ñoo fay pour jóge ko seen kër yi ñëw report to office. I understand that maybe some of them are not working, but how serious are they then? If you have been advocating for that,
money. Typical example. I have young people that are signing up for an internship program at my office, and they come up with all these colorful things and all the things to drive and show interest in it. But at the end of the day, I can tell you a good number of them are not able to fulfill it, even though they want to do it. And the only reason is and I started doing that before it was they had to be responsible for this, but new body of the and the first batch, dama pour jox pass ndok, and I can see how successful it got when I started doing them there.
I used to go to his office, Sekomar. I used to go with my laptop to your office, and we work together.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying, you were one of, you were one of an example. I wish your trouble, I regretted it. If I had known that
Omar is cut off Kalilu. Maybe Nawek went off on him. It's a very interesting conversation, Kalilu. Yes.
We have the new IP Act that we want to talk about, and then also the money, the COVID money, the distribution, how they were going about with the distribution, because I received some informations from stakeholders.
Well, you can try to liaise with him again to see if he can come in. I mean, again, so that man, my excuse Len at this point, so that you discuss that with him. It's like say Omar is coming back. Actually,
he's coming back.
He's coming back. Ya Kalilu ngeen jekkali mu nga da nga daw Kalilu ma bay len ngeen jekkali Kalilu.
Well, Kalilu never daw. Why if I go to the Kalilu daw, most of these problems, especially for music, would have been resolved. Because Mom Kalilu ngini bino dem Congress, I interfered personally because Garden ko bugon pour tana ko def ko fogna Secretary General. Mom Kalilu mako tana makona ko ci biti. Carl, I don't want you to take that position. Bula guy push nga duga ci part bobu nonu. Because I'm going to because I want to work with you. Nga free executive nga become this chief executive officer, the CEO of the music union, and you would be able to move things. Because so nekati executive you wax rek la ñi ciow rek lañ day def dara du dox. Mu melni dama ko xamone. Manako Carl bu ci boka. Ndadu ka dama fen.
Wa dega.
Nga noppi yow tamit koto bi kono la rek nga noppi yow part of the problem.
That was I knew I was traveling. I knew by then I was traveling.
But you are part of the problem, the Kalkon.
I never wanted to take a position. I knew I was traveling.
A position.
So the
idea that we had was
everybody.
The idea that we had was because I know how staunch and eloquent that he is at Nimmel. Tepapare madaba amamom bena vibration. This is a pa ning mahame. Non la hame pa. I non la hame Carl. Non lañ don jobe. So dama xamone bu Carl bu mako gene won ci executive bi. Ma tek ko mu nek sen CEO wana ko ne dinañ la fay. Because xam nga lu tax ñu la fay. Man bena xaliss rek lay manager pour fay ko rek. Then the rest of the money bi xamna ni dina ko gene.
There is no doubt that that is where I didn't say the Lulu. He is definitely a resource. I mean, and Gambian in this sector should really appreciate him and his effort. Dafa am person silly. Even Showbiz, a smaller person will say and we appreciate him. We wish him continues to do what he does. And he did a lot of things for free of charge, honestly, when it comes to seeing this music thing work and performing arts be well a cultural sector of the Gambia work. So we appreciate that. But you guys can continue with your deliberation. Thank you.
Lolu bokk na ci dina la wandale ne pa depuis bobu tay ji ak bima ko le kañ last week bi ci la soga jël téléphone am he will tell you it's almost 2 or 3 years lim fa def how much 2 or 3 years bam fa def I never took his phone duma de hardly ma jël téléphone am o ma jël call am o message am sa I felt that dama feel that ne the cause be ak li nga xamne dañ ko warona def it wasn't achievable because he swayed the game.
Oh my god. No, I did not run from responsibility. Anyway, Mr. Director, there is this COVID money that the National Center for Arts and Culture have, the COVID Relief Fund, and you are distributing it among the artists. Which nature of artists are receiving these funds at the moment?
Yeah, actually, I will tell you a little background on this COVID fund. The COVID fund is actually a Gambia. I want to clear that so that people are not saying that the COVID fund is from UN or from international organizations. No, it is not. Is that clear?
Okay, good.
The COVID fund is from the government of the Gambia.
Okay, 100 million. Okay.
The 100 million is from the government of the Gambia.
How many is going to the creative sector?
These are principally revenues or maybe things, because I remember when we had the first consultation meeting was, Mambure Njai said, the Gambia, can you give me your arithmetics, what you have been making before we could give you your money? I give you money. All of us went back to our books, GT Board, GTHI, and NCAC. When that arithmetic was done, it was realized that GT Board was making almost 200 million from the start. And out of this, it was being clamored that this is actually taxpayers, people who are paying tax and all these things. And NCAC, when we came down to our books, we are looking, how much are we making? What we are collecting from the artists, whether from the licensing, from the non-resident artists, and from all that, it was almost less than even $800,000. Carl, now even GTHI, which has the students, they are in at least in 2, 3, in the 7 digits, in the 8 digits. This is what the situation is. And now looking at these points, money is to be paid back. Obviously, they disburse 89 million of that money to the taxpayers because artists don't pay tax.
Okay.
And the unfortunate thing is, Carl, out of 17,600 artists existing, claiming to be artists in the Gambia here, Carl, it's only 73 artists that is registered in my registration.
With the National Center for Arts.
73 artists.
Unfortunately.
73 artists. No register. One more than you register totally. Why you have the same registration set for valid, Carl? It's a shame. And this is a law. It's a requirement. Carl, as a manager or as a music producer, you have never registered. Them now back into your Linibi, into the registration list. You have never registered. I have never registered.
When I make music, but I'm not a musician, and I'm an art administrator. I'm a voluntary art administrator.
Well, that is it. Even you have Mohawk, Suma Boiler, why do you register? Unstoppable. Unstoppable, Homer.
Wow. Sambu. Wow.
Carl, Sambu never registered because they have a problem at ST. You watch to intervene. Intervention, Bobu no Malakone Mukso register, we don't intervene into your problems. Then I am register Ben and Bulo Jebelegi. Sambu the Unstoppable is never registered.
So you are telling me most of the popular artists in Gambia are not registered with the National Center for Arts?
Let me go on with the list.
No, it's okay. 73. I'm gonna post that tomorrow, which is going to be very sad, and then that is very important that you tell us that only 73 out of 17,600 Gambian artists.
Artists in the country, 73 artists like and then how many other groups are?
Yeah. How many groups?
For now, 62 groups.
Oh my God.
A shame.
Yeah, that is
NCAC dañ register. Is that an excuse? Te yo nga xamne ya ngay bëgga def trade license, ya ngay bëgga am def trading, xam nga ne business registration dang ko demal at the AG chambers. Come on, man, Carl. Tell me. Gambian artists, are you ready to work? Or are these people serious? Can I give you the list? Let me continue telling you the list now. They are not registered.
No,
they
73
have never been registered.
No, 73. Yeah, 73 will be too much. But can you give example? Yeah, give example of some of the things. Yeah. Just give an example.
So in fact, most recent one thing ST, his hands thumbs up. ST, thumbs up. Jizzle, thumbs up. I went after them. Attack. I have to try to stop his show. Dem ko fekki ko fele. Fekki ko at the QTV. Guy ñaan ma be Jibu Bala Gay mo mu ñew ñu arrange defal registration
Maho mu ngi la wax ne xana registration am bi dafa expire because register na bopam ak tamit Block Entertainment Music Studio. Check your books. Mu ne nga xol Maho.
Mark, we're going to check them properly.
Well, Maho, if you are watching, Sekoma said you have to watch your card. Maybe your card is expired. I think it's an annual registration, huh? The kids are talking, Sekoma. It's an annual registration.
So, Yamadil,
I
have the list. Bohamne. Sumalako ubile fini ngadem. You will come to understand that there is some little bit of not seriousness.
No, you know what I will do? You know what I will do? I will send you an email and you can forward this list to me and then we can popularize it. And then in that way we can motivate people to come and register with the center.
So, Kalegi, they are not registered. Nga am fini the bulk B. They are not registered. And the fundmaker, as part of the act, to indicate that you need to register to become an artist.
Okay, now I give you another suggestion. Suggestion. Why can't you be able to contact all the creators in the Gambia, being artists, or musicians whatsoever, and call all of them to come to be able to benefit from the COVID money? They take their money, the share you are going to give them, and part of that share you register all of them for 2020. Is that not possible?
Can you repeat that last part with the dog there?
I am saying that like the money you have, I was told that you have $2 million Gambian dollars to share it to Gambian musicians. So can you be able to not
Fake
musicians?
News.
No, not musicians, creators, arts and culture creators or stakeholders or businesses. Can you take that money and call all of them, share that money, and then part of the money can be taken for their registration for 2020?
Carl, the first thing is on the platform B.
Wow.
To correct that fake news. It's fake news.
Okay. It's not 2 million.
What we are distributing is more than 2 million.
How much are you distributing?
It's 3 million.
3 million. Okay, good.
It might go a little bit above 3 million.
Wow.
Because the money, the taxpayers' money, they pay on the GT board. They took 89 million of that because they are the people that are serious in business. Huh? This is even the fruit seller.
Yeah.
The fruit seller in Senegambia. Bilay mo gonna face a tax.
No, I am aware of that. I totally agree with you on that. I always complain. I said
serious artists, sun producers, sun promoters, let me give you the list. Fruit seller in Senegambia fini top. The guy fofu nonu gersa sap ak chahon. They are even paying tax than even me because GT board, then they them GT board, but them a license. And when they pay for this license.
Okay, we have only 7 minutes, Mr. Director. How are you going to
finish this part? So legi na wa moy. Lolu moy problem bi. moo tax léegi ñun liñ def lii ma guys santa mooy ne the COVID fund bi it's actually to teach some others lessons because am na ñu bëri ñuy ñëw si biir office bi ne caa if I had known I would have done this ma ne waa ñeneen dañoo ñëw complain ne I have registered 10 times musuma am benefit. What is the benefit for my registration? Malene, if AG Chamber can tell the business trade officer, the advantage or the benefit that he gets from his business registration, if you are able to get that answer, come back to me, I'll give you your answer. One, you are fulfilling a national and a required
duty.
You know, practice. You are supposed to do it. Because it's your fundamental right def.
Exactly.
You like to claim for your right, swing writer. When you are forgetting about your privilege. What are your duties? Are you doing your duties?
Exactly.
Alice being fulfill 73 fulfill 10 duties. Ñooñu la ñoo jox te ñooñu la ñoo respect ñooñu lañ jox xaalis bi. The only people ñi nga xam ne ñooñu la ñoo nekk di look into mooy ñu seet niñ joxe ci griot si ak niñ joxe association si xaalis bu bëri waaye xaalis bi ñoo jox association si ñu maa ngi leen di woon another point here it's not to be shared to any members. It's for the operation and facilitation of their activities.
That is very good. That is very good.
It's for the artistic associations to facilitate and use the money for administrative purposes. Share. If anybody shares it, the members, the stakeholders, will come after you. It's not a money to be shared.
Okay.
It is the money to be used for the activities of the association. Hanasen executives. Maybe they can talk about whatever they are going to do. That is their problem. But it's not to be shared. Liñoo share pour individual benefits. Niko am. Ñooñu ñu ngi leen wax ne képp ku amee sa artistic card mu starté from 030 ba 368 ama 368 in groups war naa mun a ñëw.
Okay, my
2000 card is actually valid from October 2019 ba October 2020. They can come dinaa leen fay xaalis. Dinañ leen fay and they are entitled seen turang fa suma fa nekkee nekkuma fa they are entitled to receive money. Well, anything
can you hint more how much is the money going to individual artists?
The money that they are distributing is about $6,000 is for individual artists.
$6,000 is okay.
Yes.
Per head.
Per head.
Okay, good.
$6,000.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Director.
So, need money. If the card is actually October 2019, but October 2020, you are eligible to be paid. You can come forward to my office. You will be paid.
Okay, October 2019 to October 2020. Okay. All right. I got that.
Is in between. You are entitled to be paid.
Okay. So somebody is asking.
Association fee. Manglendi remind once more again. They are all going to Congress. 6 associations here. We are working on that. The Nayanjo Halis, % administrative cost. I have also got money for them. % constitutional review. John Mengen Halis, % Congress. They are all going to Congress. The film producers, Manglendi called a meeting for Wednesday at my office by 12 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, Mr. Director, wait. Somebody is saying, hello. It's sad that we lost the director, and I think this is the end of our program. We want to thank you all for joining us tonight on the Gambia Talents TV. I'm your host, Kalilu Banja, and I want to say good night to all of you. Thank you so much.